Hello, my name is Sarah Van Hall, and this is my walkabout assignment for Info 232, Issues in Public Libraries. I chose to do Inglewood Public Library in Inglewood, Colorado, as it was the closest library to me that I had not yet been to. My first impressions of Inglewood Public Library was confusion, to be honest. The parking is a little odd and obviously has more of an inner city feel to it. And I'm more used to suburban libraries. There's only a few parking spots in the front of the building that are limited to 2 hours. I'm assuming they think most people coming to this building will be using the RTD light rail public transportation, as this building is one of the actual stops for it. The library also shares its spaces with other city facilities, such as the courts. There is an outside book drop for returns. The first thing I saw when I entered the building was a staircase that went up to the right. There's also a really fun historical item prominently on display right in front of the library. I did find signage on what was on what floor, but the entire sign is in English and not in any third language. There was also no one around to ask if you needed help, at least not on the day I went. When I first walked into the library itself, I first noticed the new fiction section prominently displayed in front of me. To the right, I saw an on-demand service desk with a sign over it labeled children's. To the left, I saw computers and other possible service desks. I did not notice any signs that would lead to a service desk, though I did notice some people at a desk further around to the right. They noticed I was taking pictures and asked if they could help me. I explained what I was doing, so they let me be for a while. If I was not aware of how libraries are designed, I'm not sure I would have known what to do. This particular library has very open floor plan. It does make it easier to walk around and try to figure out what a patron needs. Plus, as I said, I did get the attention of staff members right away who wanted to know what they could do to help. I have to say that I hated the lighting used. I hate fluorescent lighting very much. I wish libraries in Colorado would replace that kind of lighting and make something a lot kinder. So here's navigating the library. Someone who's looking for the children's area can very easily find it, even if they don't read English. The right of the entrance has a very colorful and very fun decorations, signal that the children's area is in that direction. I was impressed with the child-sized furniture and how fun the children's area was decorated. The room was definitely designed with the children's demographic in mind, where children can play, read, and get materials in a way that is designed for them. So it's definitely, an experience for children. Everything in the children's area was very self-contained. As we saw in the lecture about space, there are plenty of things to keep children busy. The pops of color in the children's area match what the rest of the library had, with just enough so it doesn't look too busy. The young adult section was another really easy to find section. It is directly across from the entrance and to the left of the big service point. Part of why I chose this library is because I met the teen librarian earlier this year and made me curious to see what this section looked like. I was very impressed. This area seemed very teen friendly, where their artwork was prominently displayed. There is a room that only middle schoolers and high schoolers can reserve. All of the signs on the meeting rooms, study rooms, and anything patrons could reserve had instructions on how to do that. One collection that they had that was kept near the young adult section is their video game collection, which I thought was pretty cool. Another collection placed nearby is a graphic novels and manga collection, which was kept as their own thing. They didn't divide it amongst different age groups. The checkout area was tucked into a corner next to young adults and the big service desk. That was also where their hold section was, as well as a door that I'm assuming goes into the back rooms. I did find it interesting that all of the book drops I found are ones where, as far as I know, staff would have to go unlock them, put the items on a cart, and check them in manually. The checkout area is not the easiest to find, though it is what we could refer to as the marketplace, which is good since the marketplace should have all the services that are most in demand. The prominent display shelving they had in the front was impressive. It was obvious what it was, and it would get a new patron's attention even if they had never been to this library before. I made my way to the left of the entrance and discovered the internet cafe of the library. One feature I found really interesting was the phone charging center. That was fantastic to have for people to use. There were two service points that I noticed in this area, and there was a staff member walking around that area that was helping people. The internet cafe split the adult section, where one side had the adult fiction section and the other side led to the adult nonfiction. Ultimately, I was pretty impressed with the actual layout of the library because once I got used to it, it's pretty straightforward. But I did notice that all of the signs were in English, which is not going to be helpful for someone who may not be able to read English. However, there are enough prominent service points across the library with staff members to ask for help. There's a prominent print station along one of the walls near the computers as well. They had two community resource walls, one that displayed events both in the library and the community at large, and the other was an entire wall of resources for the community to use. The little pantry they had was displayed in a prominent area next to the community resource wall and next to the phone charging station. I think that is a great cause, and I think it was very well placed. It's where you're going to see a lot of people using it. Two special collections that they had were a Colorado history section, which was right near the front as well, and their world languages section that was hidden in a corner of the adult nonfiction section. I found it just by walking around, but if I was in a hurry, I don't know if I would have found it. It's not displayed well, and it's not in the area that was suggested in our lecture. And then a machine that I have never seen in person, but was actually excited to see here, was a microfiche machine. If someone needs to do a report on a very old newspaper article, this machine is still a good resource, especially for newspapers who may not have yet digitized their collections. Inglewood Public Library does have several study rooms, but they can only be reserved by talking to a staff member. You can either go to the desk or call a number to reserve a study room if you need it. Again, if you can't read English, I don't know how you're going to know that, especially if you can't find a staff member, though the staff desks are pretty easy to find. This library has two meeting rooms that can be reserved, again, by either calling or going to the front desk. They are not free. They are rented for $10 an hour. Even though there was no programming going on at the time, one of the staff members let me see what their meeting rooms look like and answered some of my questions. The furniture in here is actually easy to move around, and there are some options for seating and equipment to use. So you can have a wide variety of programs. There are two other reservable spaces in the library. One is the teen space, as I already mentioned. The other is a tech lab, like the meeting rooms. It can be rented for $10 an hour. They had a wide variety of signs in the library, which I thought could get a little confusing. I think they need some more consistency. Because some of them are permanent metal signs, while some are made of paper and placed in different plastic sleeves. I mean, with some of the movable ones, it does mean if they want to move collections around, they can more easily do it without permanent signage. However, as I said, I think they should have more consistency. And there was a sign on one of the bathroom doors that was handwritten and looked very unprofessional. I think they should have at least printed it off the computer. And that would have also made it easier to read because you can barely read it right now. And the bathrooms were actually not easy to find. It took a moment to even find a sign for them, much less to find them. And I think that's kind of an important thing to know where they are. And they're over by the adult nonfiction section. And then furniture. They did have a wide variety of furniture, from stuff for children to really comfortable chairs to sit in, to some old wooden tables and chairs that I think, are probably very outdated and probably to go. The only movable furniture was the chairs near the public computers. And there was a lot of signs stating they did not want people moving the furniture, which is kind of unfortunate since a lot of evidence suggests that people want the ability to move the furniture around if they need to. So in one of the study areas back near adult nonfiction, if you're doing a report, you've got more than 4 people in it, you can't move that around. There wasn't a program going on when I was there, but I did look into the storytime space. One, I really appreciate that they have a specific room for it. I've noticed that seems to be a trend. For a new family in the neighborhood coming to story time, a room like this means they will know where to go, even if they've never been there before. Everything about the area surrounding this room screams children's and story time. And it's obvious, they've got a carpet for it. I do wonder about some of the uh, carts that they have in there, if they are for stuff that needs to be shelved or whatever, whether it's used as storage space when there's not a story time going on. Uh, this library has some shelving that's not being used currently. It's near the back of the nonfiction section. I have no idea what they're going to do with it, but leaving the shelves bare is not the most professional use of the space. They also have a filing cabinet that I would guess once housed their card catalog. I have no idea why it's still on the floor, where patrons can get to it. My final thoughts are that the layout of the Inglewood Public Library is fairly easy to navigate, because it's kind of in a circle. You can see most of what you're looking for from a central point. The main resources a person might need are easy to see from the front door. There are lots of areas that are welcome to a wide variety of patron needs. There are places where people can collaborate and study if they need to. There are quiet spaces available for those who need it. I do wish the furniture was more updated and allowed for movement. I did like how I could see a wide variety of people using the library, even in the time that I was there. There was a woman sleeping in an alcove, and staff members absolutely left her alone. So I'm guessing they have a transient population or a lot of people experiencing homelessness in this area. We've noticed that is a trend in a lot of areas served by the RTD light rails. So I like that this library is very welcome. It seems to be very welcome to them. Um, there were several places for patrons to plug in their phones into the wall if they need to. I do wish that the signage was more friendly towards non-English patrons, though. So thank you.